Greetings from Firstbeat headquarters in Jyväskylä, Finland, and welcome to today's webinar. We have full winter here with loads of snow and temperature -5 degrees, so great conditions for skiing. And welcome aboard. There's plenty of you around the world. Happy to see you all here. My name is Niina Karstunen, and I will host the webinar today. And today's topic is Manage Your Energy, Not Your Time by Rachael. We will hear how improving our energy levels and self-awareness will help us to succeed in our lives. And Rachael will also tell us her 4-component approach to energy management, which includes physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects. So interesting 30 minutes ahead. But before I let Rachael on the stage, some few practical matters first. The webinar will last 30 minutes, and during the webinar, your microphone is on mute, but if you have any questions, feel free to write it in the chat window. After the presentation, we will read out the questions for Rachael, and she will answer them. And if we don't have time for all the questions, we will send the answers to you via email afterwards. But now I'm happy to introduce today's guest, Rachael. She is the founder and head performance and lifestyle coach of ByoBeat, which main goal is to empower people and organizations towards self-leadership and better health and well-being. Rachael is also a member of Hong Kong women's field hockey team for 5 years, so there's no need to say that her experience with elite sports provides a great foundation for her work in the field of performance and well-being. So, Rachael, the stage is yours, and enjoy the webinar.
Thanks for the kind introduction, Niina. And thank you to all of you that are here, taking time out of your day to join me for this webinar. So I'd like to start by sharing a little bit more information about my background and experiences in my life that have contributed to the work that I do with this topic. I'm a British-born Chinese. I did all my education in the UK, and I've always had a passion for sports, specifically field hockey, and went on to study sport and exercise science at Leeds Met Carnegie. Since university, I've been living and working in the fitness and well-being industry here in Hong Kong, starting as a personal trainer, and then slowly evolving into a holistic lifestyle coach, and more recently integrating other methods such as ontological coaching and applied mindfulness techniques to support my clients' overall well-being. As Niina mentioned, I represented Hong Kong in field hockey for 5 years, and during this time I gained invaluable experience with different types of energy management strategies for high performance, both on an individual level but also on a team level. I learned the importance of sleep and recovery and self-discipline in my lifestyle choices, and how to be physically, mentally and emotionally resilient. But often, as you can see, this little guy here on 1% battery, that's how I felt. I was overtraining, I was also working a full-time job, and I wasn't dedicating enough time to recovery practices, which then led to injury and underperforming at times. So since my time representing Hong Kong in hockey, I've been very passionate about learning and exploring, and also integrating a slightly different way of living. This way involves living by the subtle nuances of my body and choosing to listen to it and what it's trying to tell me. So this means a more balanced approach to the way that I work, but also the way that I live. It involves shifting between working under pressure and stress and experiencing stress, but also allowing myself time to rest and replenish my energy through recovery practices. So this is what energy management means to me now, allowing my body to feel life, basically, and trust and listen to it when it's trying to communicate with me. My experience of mental health with close family members has also been a significant contributing factor to the work that I do. In my experience, mental and emotional challenges drain just as much if not arguably more energy in our lives now, the constant demands that we are exposed to. For some of you listening today, energy management may mean something different. And hopefully by the end of today, you'll be a little bit clearer on what it means in terms of the context of today. So this is the way that I work now, an integrated and a holistic approach to performance and well-being. I combine the Firstbeat Lifestyle Assessment to bring to life how individuals manage their energy on a day-to-day basis. And then together we look at factors that drain and replenish energy. So today my intention is to check in with your current beliefs around time management and also energy management. So what do we know? Time is constant, that we know. Our energy and body resources, however, are not. They constantly fluctuate and are influenced by many factors, some of which are within our control and others are outside of our control. So a couple of questions that I would like to throw out there to you, the attendees, for consideration are: how much does time dictate your life? Do you often hear or find yourself saying, I don't have time to? Do you believe that you make choices on a consistent basis that support a way of living that is healthy, fulfilling, and meaningful to you? Learning to manage your energy and use it in an effective and productive way requires commitment to yourself and the discipline to practice and recommit to the things that bring you closer to what is really important in your life. As a result, learning how to manage your energy in different areas of your life, you'll begin to develop a stronger sense of self-leadership. So leadership is not only important for leading others, it's equally important, if not more important, for leading yourself in your own life. Self-leadership and energy management is a matter of priority, practice, commitment, and also discipline. So let's take a closer look at the 4 components of energy management. The first component is the top left quadrant, the body, which represents physical energy. The second component underneath that is the heart, which represents emotional energy. The third, you can see the brain icon, which represents the mind and mental energy. And the fourth is the yin and yang, is a sense of purpose and spiritual energy. So these 4 components are connected and intertwined. And often, if we're depleted in one particular area, for example, the body, let's say we haven't had a good night's sleep, we may wake up feeling drowsy, and then therefore it will affect mental clarity and even perhaps the way that we can regulate our emotions the following day. So our body resources can also be known as energy. Life load is a term that I borrowed from Tina Hoffman, who's an exercise physiologist at Firstbeat, who some of you may know. Life load is a term that refers to the amount of pressure or stress that you're experiencing in your life at any given time. And it can come from various aspects of your life. But for the purpose of today, I'll just focus on those 4 components of energy management that I just spoke about. In my experience of working with clients, it is quite common that clients underestimate
Okay, now it seems like we lost Rachel.
Sorry, I'm back.
Oh, great.
Welcome.
Sorry about that. It wouldn't be a webinar without a breakdown in communication.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry about that. So I'll just take a few steps back. So my experience of working with clients It's quite common that clients can underestimate the life load that they experience and the impact of stress on their health and their performance at work or in their day-to-day life. But it's also common that in the data from lifestyle assessments that what I call life admin, so admin related to day-to-day life or family life, can be more stressful and drain more energy than work-related admin. And we'll have a look at that in some of the case studies later on. So let's look at the 4 components of energy management and see how it's affected, how energy levels are affected. So let's look at the body first. Physical energy. Sleep, nutrition, and physical activity are things that are integral to our well-being and our ability to perform. They can either give us energy and support our life load and performance on a day-to-day basis, or they can drain our energy and cause us to feel unwell or to be unproductive. Other things that can affect our physical energy are the intensity of physical activity and the time of day in which we choose to do exercise. This can also affect our ability to recover. So some of you may prefer to exercise in the morning, or some of you may feel like you only have time to exercise in the evening. So as you can see, I put a question: do you have practices that help you to build and renew physical energy? So let's look at a case study for physical energy. So this was a client that I did an assessment on. There's actually 2 separate clients here. The top bar represents an individual that did a high intensity session by the dark blue in the evening around 7:30 to 9. It was actually a marathon training session, and as you can see, their training effect is 5.0, so very high intensity for their level of fitness. And as the evening has gone on and this person has gone to sleep around midnight, the red represents a delayed onset of recovery. So because this person pushed themselves very hard and very close to sleep, then it affected the quality of their sleep. And if we compare this evening training session to the individual below who trained in the morning and then went to work, their day has been relatively uninterrupted, apart from if you look at their sleep in the evening when the monitor came off. But what was quite interesting about the second individual is, despite the fact that they still needed to work and take a call in the evening, which is represented around about 8 o'clock through to 9 o'clock, they decided to take a walking meeting. So to walk and to be present in the meeting at the same time. So this is quite a good way to integrate more movement into daily life. Second component is emotions and the quality of our emotion. So physiologically, without regular breaks, it's very difficult to sustain highly positive emotions for long periods of time. With constantly changing environments at work, together with sometimes unexpected tasks or challenges that are thrown us, we can slip into fight or flight mode very easily. This can lead to more experiences of being irritable, anxious, or feelings of frustration, which can also be referred to as emotions that cause contractive energy and cause you to shut down perhaps, or to feel closed off. The opposite would be emotions that cause expansive energy. So for example, when you're experiencing joy or intimacy, or you have a good laugh with friends, this energy is more open in nature and allows us to feel more connected. So the subtle nuances of experiencing contractive and expansive energy is a good indication as to whether you're feeling drained emotionally or whether you're actually replenishing emotional energy. Our level of adaptability to change and ability to self-regulate our behavior, emotions, and thoughts determine how much energy is drained. The alternative is being able to notice when we're feeling stressed or tight perhaps, and redirect the energy towards a healthy way of digesting the emotional charge that we're experiencing. For example, going for a walk, just taking a moment to take a few deep breaths, or doing some form of physical activity, so shifting the emotional charge from wherever it sits in your body, neck, for example, or chest or common areas, into more of a full body experience. So research shows that being in fight or flight shuts down our ability to think clearly and logically and reflectively. When experiencing an emotionally charged situation, it also affects our heart, our blood pressure, and the rational part of our brain shuts down. So some practical tips, as I mentioned, you can see here on the slide at the bottom, are deep abdominal breathing, which helps us to regulate our emotions and also to slow our heart rate down. So what does this look like in data? The top piece of information or top piece of data represents an individual on a weekend. It's a Sunday. And when I was looking at this data, there wasn't anything particular that was jumping out at me to help me understand why this person's the quality of their sleep was so bad. So for example, they hadn't had any alcohol that evening. There wasn't really any high intensity physical activity. It wasn't until our workshop that this individual openly expressed that that particular evening he'd had quite a significant argument with his wife. So therefore, that made sense that it was quite a unique situation, and the impact of that emotionally charged situation had affected his entire night and the quality of his sleep. The data below is the same individual the following day, and as you can see, he was able to return back to relatively good quality sleep and not affected having spoken to his wife and being able to work through the argument. So the mind represents focus of energy. Mental energy can be affected by our internal dialogue. It can be affected by stories we tell ourselves, our beliefs, how we observe or even judge the world outside of us. So do you sometimes find that you get stuck in the same thought pattern about a situation, where reflection then turns to rumination? So these are a few tips that I can offer you to shift your attention and your mental energy when you feel stuck or drained. The first one is to wake up, essentially. Live more consciously. Try to notice when you're on autopilot. So, for example, if you're driving home from work and you don't know how you got from work to your front door, that's probably an example of when you're on autopilot. Consider moving your body or shifting your attention from your mind to your body by going for a walk. Try to control your attention by focusing more on the things that you can control rather than factors that are outside of your control. A really simple exercise to know what's within your control is on a piece of paper to draw a circle, and inside of the circle you write down the things that are inside of your control, and then outside of the circle you write down things that are outside of your control. And this is quite a simple but powerful exercise to help bring perspective on the things that you can really control and focus your energy and attention on. Another way is to try and adopt different types of lenses for challenging situations that you might be facing, and challenge assumptions also. So perhaps you can consider using a reverse lens. What would the other person in this conflict say? And what ways may it be true? Or you may consider adopting a wide lens. How much of this will matter in a year's time? Or a long lens. So what is the opportunity in this situation that I'm really missing? And how can I grow and learn from it? Also, short mindfulness-based practices can also help us to train the muscle of attention. A short practice for as little as 1 minute, done regularly through the day on a consistent basis, can help support mental clarity and also resilience. So as the quote states at the bottom, pressure doesn't have to turn into stress, but if we add one ingredient, rumination, it can. And if we look at rumination and what it is, in my opinion, essentially it's mental energy that is stuck. So how can we do something or practice something that helps us to get it unstuck? So this is a case study for mental energy. This is the same individual for both top and bottom. And at this point in her life, she had experienced She was managing multiple projects, but also had experienced a death in the family. So her father-in-law, somebody very close to her. And as you can see, it's not only emotional, as we mentioned before, in how emotions can affect the quality of our sleep and also recovery, but the mental energy that she was feeling very drained at the time and not being able to sleep. So on the weekend, you can see Sunday was a little bit better, but as soon as she goes back to work and she's under a little bit more load and pressure at work and managing work and family life, then you can see for the majority of the 24-hour period, she was experiencing more energy out than energy in. And the last component, the spiritual energy, the energy of meaning and purpose. Accessing this type of energy involves clarity in your priorities and establishing supporting practices in those areas of your life that are most important to you. So it involves a little bit of reflection about, are you doing what you do best? It involves understanding what type of work you enjoy the most, and do you have time, or are you allowed to do the work that you enjoy the most? And then when you have a clear idea about your strengths and what you enjoy, then you can mindfully allocate time and energy to that and other areas of your life. So it's trying to equally balance your energy towards work, family, your health, and another one that also contributes to replenishing the spiritual energy is service to others. And that's also shown to help replenish spiritual energy. Also understanding what your core values are and then adopting that through your behavior every day. It's not something that hides away, that only comes out sometimes, but it's something that you can live on a daily basis. Releasing yourself from obligation to do and making a conscious choice about how much time and energy you would like to expend on particular things that you're good at or that you enjoy will also contribute to the replenishment of spiritual energy. So let's look at an individual that was replenishing their energy during work. So the top data reflects an individual that was at work for, on this particular day, 9.5 hours, this little suitcase, brown suitcase at 9 o'clock. And I was very pleasantly surprised about the amount of recovery that she had during the day. In her words, she said to me that she loves the work that she does and the people that she's involved with in her team. So this was clearly reflected during the meetings and during her working day. This person is also a marathon runner, and she's physically very fit. So even though she's had high intensity exercise, in the same running session as the person that we looked at for physical energy, you can see that it does have a delayed onset for the evening in terms of the hours that she sleeps and trying to get into recovery. But because she's had so much recovery during the day, it balances out. And then if we compare that to the individual on the bottom, this is a fairly normal working day for executives to have very little green or rest periods or recovery periods during the day, and it being very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Dominated in the sleep, so recovery only dominated during sleep. So having a personal practice that's relevant for you in the different components of energy management are important to reach a point where it becomes automatic for you to do that. And you can apply it when experiencing challenging situations. So essentially a practice is a form of activity that you do to achieve a shift in behavior over time, or for the benefit of your health and well-being, or for performance. I'd also like to think of the practice as a way to help you to digest life, the emotions that you experience, and also the stress that you may be exposed to through day-to-day life. The key to a practice is to start very small and to not overthink it, but to start. Whatever you decide to practice or try, Give it a chance before you judge whether or not it's working for you. So here you can see in the slide, there are some examples of simple practices that can be implemented to help with some of the components of energy management. And it's trying to find something that fits for you. So final thoughts for today. In my opinion, one of the most effective ways to increase self-awareness and your ability to manage your energy is to dedicate more time and energy to practices that involve your body and improving your physical fitness. And so there's a reason why today that we went through the 4 components in this particular order. According to Lower and Swart's article about the making of a corporate athlete, and I quote, "If there is one quality that executives seek for themselves and their employees, it is sustainable high performance in the face of ever-increasing pressure and rapid change." Therefore, in order to be productive and to achieve sustainable performance, physical well-being is the foundation on which we can build. The healthier and fitter we are physically, the more endurance we have for living our lives, which can promote mental and emotional recovery too. Having greater emotional intelligence allows for us to achieve performance, as it's a driving factor and contributes to the ideal internal state for well-being and also achieving high performance. Increasing our mental capacity allows us to really focus our physical and emotional energy on the task at hand and not get distracted. And the final piece of the puzzle is cultivating a deeper sense of purpose in our lives, so that our spiritual energy can provide us with determination and motivation for the long term. So that's it for today. Thank you all for joining me. I believe we may have a couple of minutes for questions.
Thank you very much, Rachel. It was very interesting and you really gave me some food of thought, and I believe all the attendees can agree. So now if you have any questions for Rachel, feel free to write it on the chat window. And while you do that, I will give you some info about this webinar. So the podcast of today's webinar will be available for you in a few days. And you can also find all our past webinar podcasts on our website. And if you have any specific questions about today's topic, feel free to get in touch with Rachel. Or if you are interested in hearing how you could utilize the lifestyle assessment, or if you have something to ask about Firstbeat, you can contact us by sending email to info@firstbeat.com. So Rachel, Nils is asking if it's possible to get the slides as a PDF afterwards. What do you say?
Yes, I'm happy to share the PDF slides.
Okay, that's great. So we will send them to you afterwards. Anything else?
Any other questions?
Just a lot of thank yous.
Thank you.
Okay, but if you don't have anything to ask from Rachel, I will thank you once again and stay tuned to our next webinars via the newsletter, our social media, and the Firstbeat website. Oh, now there's a lot of writing. Last minute writing.
Many thank yous. Thank you all for your time and your energy today.